Folks, meet the OnePlus 9 Pro, the flagship Android smartphone for the company this year. And if you've been following them on their social channels recently, you may have come across their collaboration with Hasselblad, a Swedish camera company specialized in manufacturing medium format cameras. Now, to give you a little bit of context, they produce cameras and lenses that cost in the upwards of $5,000. I mean, their most expensive camera, which is the H6D, goes for $33,000. That's a down payment for a house. Now, you might be wondering, what's this collaboration all about? Well, the 9 Pro has sensors developed by Sony, and the team over at OnePlus partnered up with Hasselblad to improve the color science for these sensors. Simply put, you've got hardware from Sony and software optimizations from Hasselblad, and when you combine both of them, you're supposed to get this amazing mobile photography experience, and I'm super excited to test that out. Not only that, I've got the OnePlus 8 Pro, which was my top pick for the best Android smartphone last year because of its amazing camera performance and, of course, the other features that come along with this package. In fact, if you're interested in my long-term review, you can check it out right over here. But basically, in this video, I'm going to put both these phones head-to-head to see if the partnership with Hasselblad on the OnePlus 9 Pro brings anything new to the table and if it's worth the hype. So the first thing I want to quickly go over are some of the key differences between the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 9 Pro in terms of features. First off, they're using a brand new display material called LTPO that's supposedly more power efficient. The SoC has been updated to the Snapdragon 888 on the 9 Pro versus the 865 on the 8 Pro. They've also boosted the charging speed from 30 watts to 65 watts. So now you can juice up the battery from 0 to 100% in 30 minutes compared to almost an hour on the 8 Pro, which is just insane. Plus, the Warp Charge wireless technology also get an upgrade from 30T to 50, which basically means you don't have to wait too long for your battery to juice up when you charge this wirelessly, provided you get the separate Warp Charge 50 wireless adapter. That's an additional expense. But hey, at least they include chargers in the box. You know what I mean? And then there's the design. I really like it, except for this awful morning mist finish on the back. It literally feels like I'm holding a mirror on the hand everywhere I go, and it's just extremely difficult to keep clean and actually quite challenging to film too on camera. So I just ended up throwing up a case and just moved on. Now, there are a few other finishes like forest green and stellar black, but from what I've been hearing, those finishes or those models are going to be a little bit challenging to get hands on in North America, so keep that in mind. I also want to touch base on the usability aspect of the 9 Pro in terms of size. So it's basically exactly the same in terms of dimensions compared to the 8 Pro, so it is a very big smartphone, so manipulating it with one hand would be a little bit challenging, especially for folks with smaller hands. And the display is not as aggressively curved as the 8 Pro, but it's gentle, so even though I would prefer a flatter display, this is definitely a incremental upgrade. But honestly, OnePlus, next time, please make it flat. Like, come on, I think we're way past curved screens. And then there's the price. The 8 Pro had a launch price of $900 US, but the 9 Pro actually steps things up to $970. So yes, it is a little bit more expensive than the 8 Pro, but they've still managed to keep it within that $1,000 price bracket. So there's that. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is how good are these new cameras on the OnePlus 9 Pro? You see, this phone has 5 cameras in total, 1 at the front and 4 at the back. The front-facing selfie camera is 16 megapixels f2.4, and if we switch over to the back, you've got a 50 megapixel f2.2 ultra-wide sensor, a 48 megapixel f1.8 standard sensor, and an 8 megapixel f2.4 telephoto sensor. And then there's the 2 megapixel monochrome camera, which I just think is just a gimmick. Now, if we put these specs on paper against the OnePlus 8 Pro, not a lot has changed. For instance, they're using the same Sony IMX471 sensor for the selfie camera. The ultra-wide gets a slight bump in the sensor size. The main camera is basically the same except for the sensor rebrand. The telephoto is also nothing too crazy. So at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to how well the software processes the image. Now, I should mention that both these phones are running the latest update from OnePlus. So the 8 Pro is rocking the Oxygen OS 11.0 build, which is, of course, the updated version, at least at the time of making this video. And the OnePlus 9 Pro is rocking the Oxygen OS 11.2 update, which I suppose is specifically geared towards this brand new device. If we go into the camera settings, everything is basically set to default just so you guys get a good representation of what comes outside of the box. So things like Ultra HDR, Smart Scene Recognition are all enabled. Let's start with the selfie camera, and right away you can see that they've nailed the exposure on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Along with pleasing highlight roll-offs, there's no weird hotspots like what you can see on the OnePlus 8 Pro. My skin tones look accurate on the 9 Pro, and there's just a little bit more color information to play around with. I also think that HDR processing has improved here. Keep in mind that both these phones are rocking the same sensors, but it does look like the improved software processing in partnership with Hasselblad on the 9 Pro pieces all the information into a more pleasing image. Now, if we switch over to the ultra-wide sensor, it's pretty evident that the 9 Pro produces vivid colors, especially with the tree in the background and the bricks of this house being exactly how they are, at least from the way how I saw it. The 8 Pro is still pretty good, but it does have a weird magenta shift, especially in the shadows. And if I zoom in just a bit, the 9 Pro preserves some of the detail with the branches, and this was the conclusion that I came back to with the rest of the images that you're seeing here. The 9 Pro gets the exposure on point with beautiful colors and slightly more detail over the 8 Pro. The main 48 megapixel sensor on both these phones are really good, but I did notice that the dynamic range has improved slightly on the 9 Pro versus the 8 Pro. I love how accurate this phone nails colors, especially during the sunset shot. You just don't get any weird green cast like what you can see on the 8 Pro. The 9 Pro always plays it safe when it comes to exposure. It's nicely balanced, and if you look at detail, there is honestly no difference between both these phones. I've also noticed sometimes that the 8 Pro produces an underexposed image, which technically can be fixed in post, but that's something that I didn't have to deal with on the 9 Pro. And if you look at colors, well, once again, expect an accurate representation of your surroundings with this phone, because this is one area that smartphone manufacturers just ignore, and I'm just glad to see their partnership with Hasselblad paying off here. Now, switching over to the telephoto camera, and honestly guys, I really wasn't able to tell the difference between both these phones, except for the way how it treats colors in some instances, like this shot that you're seeing over here. The 8 Pro looks washed out, but for the rest, they honestly look similar. Details look the same, exposure looks good to me on both these phones, so yeah, not a huge improvement. I was also curious to see how the colors would turn out switching between all three sensors. Can the OnePlus 9 Pro maintain that consistency? Well, here's the ultra-wide-angle shot, which looks pretty good on both phones except for the sand on the 8 Pro, which exhibits a pinkish shift, whereas the 9 Pro looks true to life. Now, when we switch over to the main sensor, surprisingly, the colors in the sky look different on the 9 Pro versus the 8 Pro, which still manages to maintain that tone from the ultra-wide. And if we switch over to the telephoto sensor, you get a slightly less contrasty image on the 8 Pro versus the 9 Pro. But honestly, I think the 8 Pro takes the win here overall when it comes to color consistency between all cameras. Once again, here's ultra-wide, standard, and zoom, ultra-wide, standard, and zoom. Now, both these phones have portrait mode baked in, and from my initial impressions, the OnePlus 9 Pro delivers a slightly better depth of field effect than the 8 Pro, but honestly, you can simply adjust that through Google Photos in the Edit tab. But if you're looking for that perfect subject-separated out-of-the-box experience, the OnePlus 9 Pro is a nice upgrade. Low-light performance is where I saw a noticeable difference between the 9 Pro and the 8 Pro in terms of detail, especially in the shadows. If I zoom into this image over here, you can see the bricks pretty clearly on the 9 Pro, but when you look at the 8 Pro, it looks like somebody applied a Vaseline filter. The 9 Pro also nails exposure every single time depending on where you point at it. This shot, for instance, was taken later into the night where the sky was getting darker, and to me, the 8 Pro just didn't yield an accurate representation of what it looked like. There's also a nice improvement with how the 9 Pro handles highlights in certain situations, but interestingly, I noticed that nightscape in certain instances failed completely on the 8 Pro. I mean, this just doesn't look right. I tried taking this shot multiple times and ended up with the same result. I even tried to replicate it with a different subject, and unfortunately, nothing changed. Now, this was again with just certain instances, not every single time. So I'm pretty sure the latest build for the 8 Pro broke nightscape. There's also macro mode built in on the OnePlus 9 Pro, but it's nothing new compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro because this phone also has that feature. It's an interesting way to get creative with some shots if you really want to get close up to get those. The results actually do turn out pretty good with great colors. You honestly can't go wrong. I don't see myself taking advantage of it too much, but if that's something that you're interested in, it's nice to have. Okay, so this is the front-facing camera test on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Now, this particular sensor can only shoot up to 1080p, so you can't get 4K with this selfie mode, but you can shoot up to 8K at 30 frames per second with the rear-facing camera, and there's both the ultra-wide-angle setting and the standard setting where it uses the main sensor to get a more tighter shot. And image stabilization is pretty good. Microphone quality is also very nice. As you can hear, it does a really good job emphasizing on the vocals. I also like the dynamic range of this particular sensor. It does a pretty good job. Sometimes it does tend to hunt for the highlights. Sometimes it just overexposes for just a second and then it brings it back down. But other than that, you know, I don't think it's a substantial improvement over the OnePlus 8 Pro. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. I'm going to throw in some footage that I shot in 8K with the OnePlus 9 Pro. And yeah, just tell me what you guys think. I personally think that it looks great with the stabilization and just the color enhancements that they've done, of course, with partnership with Hasselblad. But yeah, that's the video test. So you've seen the results, and I think the question that you might be asking yourselves is, did this partnership with Hasselblad work for OnePlus or work against them? You see, as someone who's deeply invested into photography, I do see the benefits of this collaboration because the cameras on the OnePlus 9 Pro deliver true-to-life colors with great exposure, great dynamic range detail, and there isn't a whole lot of post-processing that's required. But if I were to put myself in the shoes of the average consumer, I don't think most people would care about color science because as long as they get a bright enough image that has good dynamic range, that's well detailed, and it's something that's quick and easy to share within social media platforms, it's a win-win for me. And I still think that the OnePlus 8 Pro is a great phone for that. You see, this collaboration is all about software enhancements with Hasselblad. And if you really think about it, OnePlus could technically roll out an update for the 8 Pro that addresses all of that color science issues if they work with Hasselblad, but they won't because they need a reason to sell their shiny new smartphone, which in this case is the OnePlus 9 Pro. So on that note, let me know what you guys think about the camera performance on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Did you guys notice a tangible difference compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, or is there anything else that you might have noticed? Again, I'm really curious to know your thoughts about it. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for my long-term review of this smartphone. It's definitely going to be in the works. I'm with Hurricane X. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.